You're listening to the In the Mix podcast with Marvin Joles. Here's your host.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In the Mix. We've been doing some in the office on location, but being kind of centrally located, which feels weird when I say Nashville is like centrally located. I kind of am, though, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Atlanta. There's stuff going on here in Chattanooga at IntelliPack, where we are today. But then I'm kind of in proximity to Charlotte and DC, and I can head back up to Chicago, Indy area. So actually, the Nashville area, Tennessee area is kind of centrally located, and it allows opportunities like we have today. Today I have Peter and Trevor, and Peter and I, we were in Savannah. Yes. I spoke at the Napa Impact Summit, and we were talking about, I think I was talking about social media and the things that I think are super interesting that the rest of the world doesn't quite get to see except through the In the Mix avenue and lens as we're highlighting the asphalt industry in real time. But we got to do a plant tour when we were there in Savannah. Absolutely. And after we came back from that plant tour, I immediately found somebody from Astec, the Astec table, and everybody. I was like, I want to know about some of this stuff in detail, because we talk a lot In the Mix with professionals, scientists, large contractors about mix design, why mixes are different from here to there, what all the variabilities are. And when I did that plant tour, there were a couple pieces of equipment that helped eliminate almost, if I can say that, I guess, the variabilities that cause some of the major issues. So I'm really thankful to have you here. I'm going to let Peter, you introduce yourself first, if you would, and your title here at Astec.
So I'm Peter Moore. I've been with Astec I'm going into my 21st year with Astec, actually. So I moved down to this facility in Chattanooga 5 years ago. And prior to that, I was on the other side of our industry with the aggregate processing.
Okay.
So crushing, screening, material handling, pretty much all aspects of the preparation of what one of our monikers for Astec is, which is rock to road.
Sure.
So I've got some extensive experience in that.
How do you even decide, hey, I'm going to spend my whole life?
Headhunters,
yeah. How do you say I'm going to spend my whole life learning about rock and how we do it and how we make it in asphalt?
So it was really interesting. I was at a crossroads. I was working as an engineer in a different industry, which was rubber processing.
Okay.
And rubber's actually...
It's in proximity. That's in proximity.
And so some of the equipment that they use to process from rubber is similar to the equipment that we use in aggregate processing to make asphalt as well. So I had an opportunity to move up.
You're in a unique position.
From Sarasota, Florida, to move up to Yankton, South Dakota. So that was...
Did you go to school for this? For
engineering, for mechanical.
Where'd you go to school?
South Dakota State University.
And you were like, oh, really? Nice. So you were what, in high school thinking, hey, I want to be an engineer? And then you go to college and say that? Or you just be like, look at the thing and be like, hey, I'm going to check out some engineering courses. And during those courses, rubber came into play?
Strange as it might sound, what brought me to engineering was I started out looking at accounting, and
that sucks.
A buddy of mine, yes.
That sucks.
A buddy of mine, I had to take some.
It's a good thing all you did was look at it.
Started taking calculus classes, really enjoyed it. Buddy of mine was going in.
Would you just say you enjoyed doing calculus?
I know. That's the funny thing.
I thought we had a lot in common at one point when you and I first met. Good Lord.
Yes. I don't enjoy it so much anymore because I've probably forgotten more than I ever learned.
Sure. Yeah, but math comes into play quite a bit in the world around us, especially in our world too. So you make a diversion then from calculus to chrome rubber.
Yeah, so that was an opportunity with my first job out of college that I was able to work across the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So that was with Columbus McKinnon was the name of the company that I worked for prior to that, and so prior to Astec. And realistically, it was that opportunity to move from Iowa to Florida and then getting into that industry and move from there into this industry. And just never looked back.
Yeah.
It's a great experience. Astec is a great company. They take care of their employees. That's one thing. Obviously longevity of an employee, that means they take care of their employees, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have people in our industry right now that have 40 plus years with Astec.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it says a lot about a company.
Yeah. 20 some years later, you see some guy with a backwards hat telling you how to use social media and why it's important for the asphalt industry. Great path there. I'm really glad I led you there. We'll do some work and lead us to some other direction rather than that being the highlight for the last year. Trevor, it's great to meet you finally in person, man. I've seen some videos of yours. You kind of got the importance of the video thing down, and seen some really cool pieces of equipment that Astec is putting into place. So please introduce yourself and let us know. Please, for God's sake, please tell me calculus did not come into play in this journey.
Marvin, thank you for having us. So my name's Trevor Wagner. I'm the Director of Sustainability for Astec. I have been with the company for almost 4 years now. I was with Komatsu and a few other companies prior to that, always in kind of an engineering role. So
Sure.
Very much like Pete, my background is in engineering. I wouldn't say calculus was a passion of mine, but you have to be able to tolerate it.
Do you guys geek out about this stuff?
We'll have moments. Pete and I have some shared experience doing computer aided design, getting way into the weeds with super technical machine analysis.
You guys are like wow.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Neither of us do it as much anymore, but we can appreciate it when we see it, right? So in my role, I get to be. I tell people all the time, I've got the great pleasure of working with a lot of people who are a lot smarter than I am, and in my role specifically, I get to see a lot of what we're doing across the whole organization. My focus is kind of within this lens of sustainability specifically. And it was actually one of the things that brought me to Astec away from Komatsu. I tell people that I'm sort of one of those, poster child next generation people who was attracted to an industry because of what's going on there from a sustainability standpoint. In my mind, sustainability isn't environmentalism. It's performance, it's efficiency, it's smart business.
Yes.
And so I saw that as my opportunity to make a mark on this industry through a lens that I really see as the future of where we're going.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. And I think, as you were saying, that you were like, hey, I'm the poster child for the people that we're trying to bring into the industry. That's a huge topic that we talk about at Napa. Is like, we need that. We need people who do look at something and go, whoa, that's awesome. And we're going to get into it a little bit, but the IntelliPack device that I think that's what I seen down in Savannah. Like you said, you get to work with people who are a lot more intelligent than you. Try being a podcast host that was an asphalt jockey, right? That mop sealer on and packed asphalt in potholes.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I still, thank God, I have at least enough of a touch of intelligence that when I seen what I seen and understood what it did, it got me into a wow moment, right? So knowing that the process to detect moisture in the aggregate that we're putting into our plants, our asphalt plants, to create this mix, that's one of the biggest factors on whether or not we have a quality product or not. And the process that formally of what that was so crazy with variables. And then for Peter to be like, literally the laser tells us where we're at and how much is going on and how much moisture is there. That's how we know whether or not we put it in, whether it's ready to go, not, and it eliminates all these factors of somebody in the plant house turning knobs and trying to get heat in there and do whatever. And that guy's going crazy inside there. When I got to go in and speak to the plant operator there in Savannah, and for him to be like, it makes my life so much easier. Yeah. It was a crazy thing. So in full transparency, Astec's publicly traded. I own shares of Astec as well. So for me, it's like being able to firsthand see that this company is creating things that make the product better for an industry that's not going anywhere. It's just a smart investment for me to be on my side and be like, okay, I've invested a lot of time, effort, and energy into the industry. It produces enough of capital for me to invest somewhere. Where do I do that? A lot of times when you invest in different things, you don't get to see it firsthand and you don't be able to have wow moments and comprehend things. For me, when we were in Savannah, that was it. And then that's where the conversation with Peter and I came of like, how do we start talking about some of this stuff? So here we are, we're in Chattanooga at Astec. Can somebody give me a brief history if you have it, of Astec's role in our industry.
Yeah. So Astec was founded in 1972. A lot of the brands that have become a part of the Astec family over time have histories that are even longer than that.
Wow.
So we have a really, really lengthy and extensive footprint. Pete was saying, where we are today, we are able to provide comprehensive solutions from rock to road.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that it takes to get, aggregates out of the ground and turn them into the infrastructure that we use in our built world is pretty phenomenal. So founded in 1972, Dr. Don Brock was the founder and sort of the visionary of the company.
Founded where?
Here in Chattanooga. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Dr. Brock's father owned a company called the Chattanooga Heater Company that made kind of industrial heating products. And then he kind of spun off from that to create what has become.
What was the problem that he was solving at that point, way back then?
So I love talking about this because when we think about sustainability, people always say it's something new.
Yeah.
One of the headline products that they launched before Astec was founded in the late 60s was a heater whose claim to fame was an increase in efficiency over a previous generation. The topics, sustainability.
A space heater? Like
industrial, like hot oil heating.
Oh, okay.
Heating applications. Yep. So
wow.
Yeah, even 50 years ago.
What a space to jump into.
Yeah.
That's crazy. If you've been in asphalt long enough, you've probably said, there's got to be a better way to measure this. That's where Moser comes in. It's a simple app and motion-based tool that lets you measure areas, distances, elevations, and volumes just by walking the site. From patches and overlays to stockpiles and takeoffs, Moser helps contractors get the numbers they can trust fast. This show is about real stories and the real tools that move our industry forward, and Moser is one of them. To learn more about what Moser can do, head to the link in the description. They get into that space, and then where does the growth and the hyper specificity of aggregate come into play?
So, from those roots, one of the first sort of breakout technologies that Astec brought to the market was the long-term storage silo.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you look at the legacy of doing things intelligently with heat.
Mm-hmm.
Asphalt has to be kept hot until it's paved.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those first innovations was a long-term storage silo. This was one of the innovations that made a continuous mix asphalt plant, which is the dominant asphalt plant technology, especially in the US.
Yeah.
You have to be able to have some surge capacity for that material. You can't use it as fast as the plant is producing.
Right.
So the silo was one of the first things that we brought to the market that really put Astec's name on the map. And then
were they making the other components at that point too? And then the storage silos separated them, or were there plants already in place and Astec's product was like, hey, we have a storage silo that you guys can make that mix and you can just keep it here?
That's a really good question. I actually don't know.
That's a good question.
The answer to that. I know that we generally kind of started with components, and as we built, competence in those components, we got to a point where we could put a whole plant together.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of plant manufacturers kind of come to do. They start off by service.
That's how a lot of businesses are. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So nowadays, when we go to a conference, we're going to be going to Con Expo here coming up, which I'm super excited for. When I walk into a room, or I get to go through the doors and I see it for the first time, the dominant plant equipment and products and displays that I see is Astec's. What makes Astec different?
It's the people. It's the people that are our company now. It's the people that built the legacy that our company is. We have people, like Pete said, who have been living and breathing this industry for decades.
Mm-hmm.
People who have forgotten more than I will ever learn about plants. People who learned how to make the best possible products the hard way.
Yeah.
They figured out how, anytime you look at our equipment, hopefully we're going to get to go do a shop tour later.
I can't wait.
Look at that equipment. Every single choice that was made, there's a reason behind all of it. And as you talk to some of those people that have been here for a long time, you get to see that experience and that legacy that we carry, into the present day with our designs.
So tell me a little bit about this, Pete. When we were at that plant tour, as a contractor, I go into asphalt plants. We get asphalt from silos in Wisconsin. I've been doing that for quite a while. When I go in, I can see the main components, right? I'll see everything that normally looks like an asphalt plant. But when we had that tour in Savannah, and hopefully I get to see some today when we get to do a tour, it was when I got kind of underneath that surface and started to see all the intricate parts and components, and then was like, oh, this does this, that you need this to make this, to heat this, and this is what keeps the temperature down, and the adjustments in the plant house to make this happen. It became, it did two things. It made a simple design, like, oh, the rocks mix here, mixes with the oil, goes in here, stays warm. Get really complicated. Once I got that first layer back, I was like, whoa, there's a lot going on here that I didn't understand. But then once I started to peek at it, it started to make sense once it's like popping the hood on my truck. All I know is I put gas in, I hit the throttle and it goes. But when I pop the hood, I'm like, oh, this is busy. But then once I figure out what system does what to make things go, it happens. So for me, I guess the question is the innovation side of it. You've been with Astec now for quite a while. Has that always been part of this company's DNA? Is the innovation part?
Absolutely. Innovation's always been there with Astec. We may not have always had a specific formal program for it. I'm being a new product development manager now. We didn't necessarily have those specific siloed areas, whereas the engineer that was in charge of a product line would also be in charge of doing innovation for that product line.
Okay.
So within the last, I'm going to say about 8 to 9 years, that started getting more siloed so that people could actually, the challenge that we found was that you're so inundated with day-to-day production that you didn't have a lot of time to actually innovate new products.
Sure.
So we had to start creating these different departments that could actually reach across the aisle on multiple different products, whether it's a drum or a feeder or cold feed bins or whatever the product might be, that person could then go to a subject matter expert in that area and then really dive into that product a lot further to find out ways that you could either become more cost effective, whether it's through materials or manufacturing processes or whatever it might be, that you can actually develop this product, or changing a whole new perspective of what that product's going to be. And that's where I think we start coming into the IntelliPack, as far as moisture sensors have been used multiple times in different industries, but not very successfully within the asphalt industry.
Sure.
And so when we were able to find a way to start looking at this, and we tested multiple different devices before we actually zeroed in on what we wanted to use.
Yeah.
Whether it was
I can imagine,
or non-contact, we had to make sure that we found what was the best solution for our customer. That was our top priority. What's going to work?
It's crazy to think that when you think of a business model for a company, especially, now knowing how big Astec is, that most of the time a company is like, hey, here's a problem. We solve it. We have a product. This is our bread and butter. This is what we do. And with Astec, it was like, yep, we solved this problem. This is our bread and butter. Here's another problem. Let's solve this one. It was always like a shiny object, and people's like, hey, don't get away from and shine the shiny object and grab the shiny object. But Astec's like, no, this is good. We're going to go over here and solve this one. And then we're going to solve this one. And then you think about how long Astec has been around. Did they have to solve the moisture reading problem? I don't know. Right? I mean, did the company really need to? It's publicly traded. It could still produce and do what it does. But as you were alluding to, it's the people, intelligent people, like, yeah, but we can do it. Like, we can do it. So we're going to do it.
If you don't innovate, you don't move forward.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, you have to be innovative. You have to keep moving that ball forward. Otherwise, somebody else is going to come along and start eating your lunch.
I used to say we mix sand, oil, and rocks together and mash it. Like, I'm like, that's what we do. And now it's like, it's getting really hard to say that, because it's like, well, we don't actually do that. There's so much more, and it's so much more in depth. I think
start peeling back that onion. You find
you do
layers underneath.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think of, the couple, well, when we did that plant tour, one of your associates, I can't think of his name at this point, but he was showing me the AI readout underneath the silo that has like a mapping of a truck bed. And then the AI is reading the truck bed, the dump truck bed and telling him whether to back up or move forward. So that way we have exact droppage, right? And for me, it was like, oh, we're going to solve multiple high level problems at the same time, apparently at Astec, where with me, I have a problem editing this video. Great. So I'm like, oh my God, like there's a lot going involved into this. Between Wiscoat, podcasting, writing, speaking, and family, I'm busy. As you can imagine, it's a lot to juggle. How do I do it? I stay organized. Jobber's been my secret weapon at my asphalt business, which takes up most of my time, but is also the force that allows me to do everything else in my schedule. That's why it's essential that Wiscoat runs fluidly and smooth. After making the switch to Jobber a few years ago, I simply wish I would have done it sooner. The process from when a client reaches out to when we complete a project for that customer has never been easier for us. From quoting, invoicing, scheduling, tracking hours, and even marketing, Jobber's made it all happen in one place in a way that everybody on our team can understand. If you're interested in a free 14-day trial of Jobber and an exclusive discount code for In the Mix listeners, check out the show description to find the link to try Jobber today. As we do get to see some stuff at the plant that repeatedly have just become known problems, there's kind of this attitude in our industry of like, well, that's just how it is. It's just a problem. That's always a problem. That's just part of it. Where Astec's like, no, that doesn't have to be. We can do something about that if we get the right people in place. How much of like customer feedback and real world challenges go into the new product development? Can I ask you that?
So yeah, that's a great question. And
how do you get that feedback?
Trevor's going to have a really great answer for that.
Good.
I'll also give you a fairly decent answer.
I can't wait.
So customer involvement, that's where our industry is driven from. And we want to ensure that we involve our customers with our new product development. So we go out, Trevor primarily and his associates, they'll go out and they get that voice of customer to ensure that what we're developing is going to be useful in the industry. And it's not just something that we think is needed in the industry.
Sure.
This is something that it's coming out of the industry. So I'll let Trevor, he's probably got an even better answer.
Great.
The term that I have fallen in love with using is customer obsession.
Okay.
And Pete mentioned this when he was talking about how we've become a little bit more structured with how we quote unquote do innovation, in that we've got a dedicated team and some dedicated resources, and their job is to go find that next problem and solve it.
Okay.
Astec's legacy and what we are built on is solving customer problems. So fundamentally, at our core, our customers have always been involved in the innovation process,
sure,
and helping us discover and solve those problems. So as we try to find ways to deliver those solutions quicker and more effectively and with less heartache when a prototype goes to the field for the first time, there's additional structure that we want to bring to the innovation process, but we have to stay obsessed with our customer because that is who created what we are now.
Yeah.
And our customers are going to be what carry us into the future.
Yeah. When we talk about customer, are we talking about companies that own asphalt plants? Or are we talking about contractors that put asphalt down?
Yes.
Okay. I like it.
And I would even broaden it outside of that. And I would say that anybody that is a stakeholder in our industry,
sure,
Astec wants to be involved with those people, whether it's DOTs, state associations, federal agencies, the contractors that are
sure,
paving asphalt, quarries, source material, we want to touch all of that. We want to be involved in all of that because sometimes the problem isn't something that a contractor is facing. When we talk about CCPR, which I know we're going to get to in a little while, we've got this phenomenal material that's very easy for producers to make. The problem is agencies and their ability to specify and use that material when they're letting jobs.
Yeah.
So sometimes the problem that we have to go find and solve isn't something that a contractor or somebody who actually buys our equipment has to solve, but it's some other industry stakeholder, some other problem that we need to move forward.
Yeah. I have a feeling when we do the tour later, I'm going to have quite that similar feeling that I had when we did the plant tour in Savannah, where I was like, this is solving a problem that I didn't even know I had. As a contractor, you don't actually even know that you have a problem until someone's like, yeah, we developed this and it solved it. And you were like, oh, I didn't realize that was a problem that I was going to encounter at some point. So, Peter, I'm going to ask you about, because you did a very good job when we were in Savannah of explaining to me the problem that IntelliPack, which is the laser sensor that tells us our moisture content and our aggregate that we're putting together to make asphalt, solves for asphalt producers. So what problem does the Astec IntelliPack solve?
So the IntelliPack system, so it's an infrared based system, and realistically the problem that it solves is inaccuracies as far as what the plant is reading for moisture in their product. A lot of times most plants, if they even get the opportunity, they'll only test their moisture once a day. Like they'll come in rolling in the morning, they'll do a burn off. Well, they're not going to get.
And what was that process like? Like with before IntelliPack, like we did it manually.
They did it manually.
Which is ridiculous. What's that process?
Stockpile. Get their sample of material, and not from the bottom. They'd have to go midway up.
Yeah. Because moisture it's drier at the top, it's wetter at the bottom. So we kind of, so you're getting an average anyway. And that's so archaic.
Absolutely. And then it's going to take you 2 hours to burn this off before you can actually get that information to the plant operator so that they can set the controls as far as how much bitumen is going to be added to the mix, how hot you should be running your burner or something like that, and in that particular scenario. But realistically, the IntelliPack is going to give you that real time.
That's crazy.
So it's going to be sending that information back instead of getting that one reading that was an average from the stockpile of, we're at 5% today.
Yep.
You know, that might actually say, in the morning, let's say you had a downpour the night before, that might be saying you have 8% or 9% moisture in your material. Well, that's going to...
I mean, like this morning, it was foggy out this morning. I went to start my truck and it was soaked. My whole truck was soaked. It looked like it rained, but it didn't.
Exactly. So this is going to give you time and constantly be feeding it back to the...
What if it was wrong? What if, not the laser, but like the old archaic way that I was talking about, the barbaric way? What if it was wrong and I put material in that had too much moisture or too less moisture?
So you could be adding too much bitumen, or you could have too little bitumen.
And therefore my asphalt's too soft or too brittle.
It could be too soft or too brittle, exactly. And so now it's going to get rejected when it goes out to the job site by the DOT that's actually
inspecting it,
material, inspecting it as it comes in. And if it gets rejected, suddenly you've got a dump truck of material that's coming back to you as the only thing you can use it as is wrap now.
Yeah.
It's already been processed once.
Somewhat, man. What a crazy thing.
Huge cost saving.
Even though you told me that once when we were in Savannah, even now it's like, this is like that technology that you're like, oh, it's kind of like, I don't know what I want to compare it to. Some type of technology where it's like, well, that's over. Like VHS. Well, we're done now. Like we don't do it that way anymore because it has to be done this way to keep up with efficiency and standards. We talk a lot about big buzzword in the asphalt industry is AI. It does get used, as I've seen with some of your all's technology, but people are like, oh, it's you're going to take this job and that job or whatever. And our argument for some people that are kind of in my circle are like, yeah, so we get jobs done double time. That means we can do double the work in a year. Like it's not necessarily that we're going to be doing less work now or we're going to be sitting around twiddling our thumbs. And it makes me think about this technology, the IntelliPack technology, and like, oh, you mean we're going to be able to produce more mix and put more mix through more pavers each day, which means we're going to get projects done faster and more projects done. We don't only have to allocate X amount of road miles for Georgia each year. We can do double that now. Fantastic, right?
Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg as well. When you look at the asphalt producer, they're saving money.
For sure.
We've seen this system will actually pay itself off within 6 months.
Oh, for sure. I can't imagine.
For capital and expenditure to buy these systems, but the system pays itself off, and up to 60 cents a ton is what we've seen for savings.
I would imagine. Well, to think about the savings aspect of it, I would imagine I can link the technology from the asphalt plant to an app on my plant operator's phone while he's home with the laser on, reading what's in his piles right now. And he can determine whether or not he has to come in at 4 a.m. that morning and actually fire that bad boy up so that the mix is ready to go by 7 or 6, or whether he can spend another half an hour sipping his coffee, eating his breakfast or whatnot with his wife at home, which would be fantastic for guys in our industry because we know the work-life balance is an issue. So I was recently on my way back down to Tennessee, and I was going through Indiana, doing some heavy highway construction there, and I seen them paving at night, and they had these lights on the back of the paver that illuminated the whole area. You could see the skid steers, you could see the dump trucks, you could see everything. And these big balloon lights on the back came from Portable Lighting Solutions. So PLS is the only balloon light manufacturer offering a replaceable screw-in LED bulb that is field serviceable in minutes. They have a patented slide-in assembly, and they have a push to rapidly deploy mechanism. So you just push down on the light and the light pops up and is illuminated. You push back down, it shuts off. And they're manufactured here in the USA. There's no patch kits needed. There's not a blower motor. There's no set screws, and they're UL certified. So if you're interested in putting one of these on your paver, I think I'm going to put one on the paver that we just got, and probably on our seal coat unit too, so that we can seal coat at night. You can hop over to portablelightingsolutions.net and put an order in and find yours today. They are ARA members, APWA members, and Women of Asphalt members as well. Once again, that's portablelightingsolutions.net. This is the thing that is the argument for tech in the asphalt industry, for software in the asphalt industry. Yes, it has been a certain way for a long time, but this type of technology can ease this thing that keeps people somewhat out of our industry. That is the pressure and stress of our industry when it comes to the men and women who are putting gloves on in the morning, grabbing shovels, grabbing loots, firing up equipment. If we can do stuff like you all are doing with tech, link it to our phones, to an app, and the people that are in charge of that area are able to get real-time data while not having to be in front of that stuff, gives them a little sliver of time each day to get back to like their actual life and stuff outside of it. And that's what gets me excited about seeing the technologies. I thought immediately of the plant operator, when we were in Savannah. So the consistency, the fuel efficiency, and just the quality of mix that isn't going to be rejected. You were like, yeah, it could be 6 months. Man, on a huge project, especially in Wisconsin, if Matthew's on one up there or Walbeck's on one up there, and all of a sudden they are like, hey, our percentage of wasted material was whatever percent, and now that's in half. If you're in the asphalt industry, you usually have a good reading on how much asphalt is per ton, right? So if that cost is going back into our pocket of wasted material, thank God, right?
Cost savings.
Yeah. Yeah. Give the guys on the shovel a raise with that money, for God's sake.
I'm just going to say, I've got a good friend of mine growing up that he's been in the industry forever. He's out there on the road running a paver.
Yeah.
Every day during the summer. And so, you mentioned that work-life balance, and he is usually 12, 14-hour days all through the summer.
Yeah.
That's still, that, of course, Minnesota, so they're not doing anything in the winter.
Yeah. Listen, just because we can put more asphalt down and get the section done faster, don't mean we're not going to keep putting in the hours. We're going to. Just if we can find 4 more hours in a day to get more done, we're going to do something and get it done in the asphalt industry. Wisconsin's the same way as Minnesota. In the summer, if the sun's up, I'm ready. If the sun's down, I'm time for me to clock in. For the most part, Portable Lighting Solutions now makes a great balloon light that attached to our seal coat rig. So maybe we won't stop. Maybe we'll just go 24 hours a day, I guess. But real quick, from a contractor, or better yet, a plant operator's perspective, besides having to go out and check it and do whatever, what are some of the immediate benefits of IntelliPack?
So the cost savings is probably the number one.
That's number one.
That's the number one thing right there. You're more efficiently using the bitumen that you have at the plant instead of, wasting some.
I was going to say, it's reduced waste.
Yes.
Right? We're all talking about having a greener, lighter impact on the world. Reduce waste.
Another highlight of this product is that it's retrofittable to anybody's bin.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This is actually attached at the bin. So we can mount it, whether it's on an Astec bin or a competitor's bin. We have a flexible mount system that this mounts right up to it.
Man.
And they can be up and running in a matter of a day, 2 days. And they have this system. Now, we do like to do a little bit of a run-in period so that we can really dial everything in so that the manufacturer can get the best bang for their buck. But realistically, it's a great system.
What does it read out to? Like the data
control system.
So
it directly integrates with our PM3 system and also with our mine system.
Okay.
If they need to integrate it with another system, that's going to.
So they'll get a reading on the software that comes out on a display. Okay. Man.
I think even more importantly than having a readout, one of the things that we focused on as we developed this system was making sure that the plant operator didn't have to think about it.
Mm.
So if a plant operator or a plant owner or somebody were to go out and
that gives me a shot at being a plant operator. If they don't have to think about it, that gives me a shot at being a plant operator.
So, if you've got a display on your screen that's telling you the moisture content of your stockpiles, that's great. That's way better than what it was before. But you're still asking the plant operator, who is buried with a load of other tasks
for sure
to do. You're asking him to make a judgment call, him or her to make a judgment call about when they need to actually make a change at the plant. So the beauty about what we have with the IntelliPack system is that it's a system. It's not just a sensor.
Sure.
It's fully integrated with the plant controls. So the plant is automatically making corrections based on that data. You don't have to ask the plant operator, hey, I'm giving you another piece of information and you have to make another decision every day. How often do I have to check it? What's the threshold?
It's that stuff we were talking about, that pressure. Exactly. My plant operator up in Wisconsin, his name's Jeff. And I can tell when I come into the plant, when I roll in, whether we got a dump trailer or a dump truck or whatever, what's been going on in his day without him saying anything. Like I can just tell by the look on his face, or if I open the door to the plant and I say, "What's up, Jeff?" and he gives me a look, I can tell right away whether yeah, dude, it's a bad day. And most of the time he's like, when I left yesterday, everything was fine. And as soon as he fired it up in the morning, things got crazy. So, I think a lot about, my friend Aaron Witt up at BuildWitt, we talk a lot about data centers and whatnot and that whole world of AI and technology. And I don't know, I've turned 40 this year. And for some reason, I feel myself thinking about things that I thought maybe old people thought about. And I think about the energy usage. Now I'm like, man, we're using a lot of energy. And when I think about the IntelliPack system, and this will be the last thing I think about, at least in this conversation about it, before we go on to the CCPR, is the energy usage. Like we only have so much of it. It's going other places. It costs money to use energy, costs time to use energy. And with the IntelliPack system, we mitigate and really, really get efficient on how much energy we need to use to get our... Do I want moisture content in my aggregate?
No, not at all.
Yeah. I want it to be at 0.0.
It has to be 0.
And then I can stop heating that stuff. Put it into it and put my bitumen in and I'm good to go. Crazy. Well, let's get to CCPR because that's another fun one. Trevor, I'm going to let you explain that one if you would. And there's kind of a hip word there, Astec remix. I like that. Yep. The young people are probably going to be attracted to that. I'm sure there's a lot of people like you that are just itching to get into Astec and be like, I cannot wait for the Astec remix and all this technology and all this stuff. I don't think so, but there are guys out there and we need them. So tell us a little bit about, explain it to me as I've explained to you, and I have a Neanderthal brain in here. What am I hearing? What is the Astec Remix in CCPR?
So Remix is a specific product, and we'll get to that in a second. CCPR stands for Cold Central Plant Recycle. It's part of a group of technologies that recycle asphalt pavement at ambient temperatures.
Okay.
So when you think about, our industry is so insanely cool because asphalt is fully recyclable. It is the most recycled product in the world.
Yeah, at this point, for sure.
And every ton that is produced can be recycled later on in its life.
We don't throw any of it away anymore.
Right. It's too valuable.
Yeah.
It's a gold mine that's waiting.
Just like I was telling you, sometimes the old ways are just done. Having piles of crushed blacktop that we had to bury or whatever, that's VHS. Yep. That's old. That's out of the way.
It's worth its weight.
Yeah.
I mean, the binder alone is so expensive that So when we think about, how I've got asphalt that's going to be recycled. I'm going out. I've got a job that's going to be sending me millings or scrap or whatever. There's a sort of a spectrum of technologies that you can use to reuse that material. Mm-hmm. There's the technologies that most people are familiar with, which is putting it back into hot or warm mix asphalt, basically running it through a traditional asphalt plant. And there's a variety of technologies that we and our competitors also can bring to bear that will let you recycle. Our sort of run-of-the-mill plant now will do 40 to 50% wrap, no problem. We've got higher end plants with some additional features that will do up to 70 or higher percentages of wrap in hot mix.
And hit spec.
It's possible.
Crazy.
The challenge with hot
That's crazy, Peter.
and cold recycling is the specifications that allow that material to be used. There's been so much testing done on these materials at the National Center for Asphalt Technology, other places that have validated that this stuff works.
So it will bind with CCPR, the asphalt remix. It will bind at ambient temperature to spec.
So remix and CCPR, which is the mix that it produces, that's even one step further than what we were talking about. Hot mix asphalt, we can comfortably go 70. We've had a couple plants that have gone quite a bit higher than that we don't really publish that much.
How fun for you guys to be able to experiment with this stuff at that level. At this high of level, there's not very many people that get to experiment at that type of level with this type of stuff. That's a fun thing.
So CCPR takes that one step further. It's 95+% recycled material, and it's mixed at ambient temperatures. So there's some really cool technology.
For what purpose? Are we talking for cold mix material, like for patching, or are we talking about paving?
Even before I had a discount code partnership with Brunt Workwear, which you can find in the description of this podcast, I was wearing their boots when patching or paving and their shirts and hats when I was out on date night with Nikki. I'm actually wearing one right now. Seriously though, half my closet is Brunt Workwear at this point. I have 3 sets of boots, 2 Marins, and a pair of the Omans, as well as a green Chevlin hoodie that I love. It's got a snake on it. It actually has a pocket where it keeps my cell phone there in the front. I love that about it. And it took the place of my winter jacket last season. To check out their full line, go to bruntworkwear.com and use code MJOLS10 to save $10 off your first order of $60 or more.
A lot of people want to compare CCPR or other sort of cold recycling technologies to cold mix.
Yeah.
And cold mix is valuable. It has
Does its own thing.
CCPR is a superhero compared to what cold mix is.
Yeah.
And most of the applications that we've seen for cold recycling, whether it's done through a plant or whether it's done on the paving site through a mill, which we would call cold in-place recycling.
Sure. I haven't seen one yet, but I want to see one.
Sister technologies, but those have applications in mainline paving. There are jobs in Virginia. They've done a lot of work with this out west, extensive, over a decade of research down at the NCAT.
So it's taking the place of hot mix paving
or
base. Stone base. Okay.
Opportunity for the contractor, right? So it's an opportunity for the contractor to either bid a more cost-effective material and drive their bid price down, or it's a chance for an asphalt contractor to take a bite out of more of the job.
Wow.
If they're not usually in site prep or something like that, it's an opportunity for them to go and get more of the total scope of work. A lot of the work has been done in mainline paving, but where we think the biggest opportunity is, you mentioned data centers, that's one of them. We think that data centers, big box parking lots, commercial parking lots, things like that, construction paving for subdivisions. Before you open something up to the public and you need to get a road paved so that all of your construction traffic can get in and out of that subdivision, CCPR is a wonderful material to use.
What it makes me think of? In Wisconsin and Iowa are in pretty close proximity. When I go into Iowa, beyond Dubuque, Iowa City, it's all gravel roads everywhere across that farmland. When you get into Wisconsin, we don't have gravel roads. Very many. They're very few. They're all tar and chip, right? Is tar and chip better than gravel? For sure. Is it as cool and better as hot mix? Hell no. So what it makes me think of is, can we do something where we're a little bit better than tar and chip, not as expensive as asphalt, maybe not even as expensive as tar and chip, depending on what it is, and we pave roads with this at an efficient, nice amount. Listen, I like Iowa, but man, I hate the dust all over my truck. And those farmers work hard and they buy themselves nice vehicles. And I always think it's so funny because I'll see a Cadillac Escalade or AT4 Denali completely covered in dust, right? And then obviously they get a lot of snow there. It's over the gravel roads and whatnot. A better surface that they could actually plow and keep better would be safer.
Yep.
There's just when we start talking about the technology and what we can create on the product side because of technology, that gap of, or I guess the view of benefits is just as wide as that. Better plowing on Iowa gravel roads if we were able to put down a product like this.
Yep. Yeah. So we're, as we talk about that and we think about where we're going in the future, we're stepping off a little bit into what's on the horizon. So CCPR right now is a base material.
Sure. Just
because of the stone structure and the amount of binder that's present.
How long has it been around, Trevor?
So there's an extensive history here.
Where's you don't have to say where, but are there test spots of road and highway where it was used as the base to where we're able to compare it to one that has a standard base and be like, what type of longevity are we looking at? Is it getting better? Less cracking, less potholes, less movement? Where is it? Is it compared to Arizona versus Wisconsin versus Tennessee versus wherever? Do we have that going on? Hell yeah. I'm glad my money's invested in that.
It sounds like, we talk about some of these things like this is one of those weird but also beautiful things about our industry. We talk about some of these things like we're new. The technology that we use to create a cold recycled mix was first developed post World War II when we were rebuilding airfields out in the Pacific.
It's just taken this long to be confident enough to talk about it.
Exactly. But you look at the exact testing that you talked about. I mentioned the National Center for Asphalt Technology, so passionate about their mission and what they're doing for our industry. They have been testing this material in their test track for over a decade. Now, their test track is doing accelerated testing. So a decade of testing at the test track is multiple decades of real.
Oh, that's true, I guess. I never thought of that.
And some of the most durable, resilient pavements that group of researchers has ever cooked up have had CCPR as a key ingredient. It's a wonderful, wonderful material.
So as it was getting developed, you all were able to keep adjusting and adjusting and adjusting, making it better and better and better as it's getting tested over that amount of time.
So I want to be a little bit clear. CCPR is not an Astec technology.
Sure. It's just a general statement for.
It's a mixed design.
Yeah.
It's a mixed design. So yeah, I mean, we've been plugged in with NCAT and helping them in their mission and what they're doing as they've created that. And then the remix product, which you mentioned, is basically our sort of purebred project design or product designed to make CCPR.
So you all had hands-on of like, we're going to make it the best way that we can make it.
Exactly.
And how does that compare?
So CCPR, because it's I'm going to say new with quotes. Again, we've talked about the decades of
it's new to me.
Happened here, right? So because it's new, understandably, justifiably, people are reluctant to make a capital investment to have equipment that's dedicated to just make CCPR. So what they would do, what they did down at the test track, what they've done other places, is they would find a way, sort of retrofit their hot mix plant to make CCPR, which works.
Yeah, somewhat.
Test strips for, small quantities. You're not necessarily making shortcuts with mix quality, but you're sacrificing this behemoth of an asphalt plant that could be churning out
hot mix like crazy.
Just hand over fist for you. You're shutting that whole thing down to make
CCPR.
So when we launched this product, our vision was to give an asphalt producer another tool in their tool belt that would help them just make this mix specifically. And we designed it so that it could tie into the other systems at an asphalt.
This is one of those shiny objects that Astec seen was like, well, they're not going to do it, so
let's do it better.
Let's do it better and do it so that we can produce something for them.
Yeah, make it integrated. For the plant as well. They could integrate it into what they have for an existing plant.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to tie together for you here real quick too is we actually have done some testing with the IntelliPack for wrap as well, for sensing moisture in wrap, and CCPR being that one of the ingredients is moisture, the amount of moisture that needs to be in the wrap, and then the amount of additional moisture that we have to put into it to ensure that you get the compaction that you need with it. We've also been able to integrate the IntelliPack system with the CCPR.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're
y'all, you know what?
A lot of synergy going with our product.
Y'all are like the Apple of asphalt. Some people are going to be like, oh, that's awesome. And other people are like, shit, that means I got to buy the AirPods that go with the iPad that go with this. I got to do it. Which is great if you're an investor. Yeah, I'm happy about that. I used to be 300 pounds, 297 to be exact. And if you're around me at asphalt or construction expos or in my circle, you remember that Marvin. I'm not him anymore. I've all but eliminated the choices that got me there in the first place. And I'm down about 100 pounds over the last few years, all from making better choices. I know it's hard in our industry to find time and that those gas station stops are way too convenient, but we in our industry aren't getting enough of what we need to live healthy and stay productive, with those choices being our constant. Besides prepping my own food, I choose foods and supplements from First Form to help me get to where I need to be, along with a regular exercise routine.
You've seen my posts over the last few years about using First Form's products to get what I need into my body on the road and keeping out excess of what I don't need or want. I use at least one First Form product every day to ensure I stay on track. I've worked way too hard to let this slip. If you use the link in the episode description, you'll get free shipping on orders over $75 from First Form today. If you reach out to me personally via DM or email, I would love to tell you about what I use and my experiences using First Form's products.
When it comes to the remix, we talked about sustainability of roadways and whatnot. Is there a sacrifice anywhere in there, do you think, Trevor? Like, are we sacrificing anything by using remix versus or CCPR versus breaker run and 3/4 inch gravel?
The engineer in me is compelled to say it depends, but I will say that CCPR is such an attractive, just amazing material. The reason that it's not more widely used is either you're in a rural area and you don't have a lot of wrap. You know, wrap is a wonderful material. It can help us be so much more cost competitive and, you know, environmentally friendly with the materials that we're producing, but not everybody has it.
Yeah.
If you've got wrap, it's a wonderful tool to use. So one of the challenges, especially as you get up to 100% wrap, I'll talk to producers. They're like, hey, I barely have enough wrap to just stay at 30% in my hot mix plant so that I'm competing with the guys down the road.
Yeah.
So that's one of the factors. And then the other challenge is just because it's not been widely used is that specifying groups or end customers are sometimes reluctant to have something that's perceived as new in their area. But from a performance standpoint, it's incredible. I mean,
Do aggregate mining manufacturing companies hate us? Because like at some point, aren't we going to be able to recycle all of our asphalt all the time?
So we have multiple large customers for whom asphalt is almost it's a very small portion of their business.
Okay.
They've asked me that question. And my response is, don't you have other places that you would like to be selling your aggregates for more of a premium?
I guess that's true.
Or this is planet Earth. There's no more rock showing up.
Yeah.
Quarries are a finite resource. You are going to run.
That's true.
So
it makes me wish, hopefully we can recycle everything at some point when it comes to it. So let me ask you this. How many times can I recycle my asphalt?
That's a great question. Another active area of research.
Of course.
So they actually, you know, when you think about
I love it.
it's what? When you think about recycling asphalt in a hot or warm mix application, you're doing maybe 20, 30, 50%. You're always putting in more virgin material than you are doing recycled material.
Sure.
So as you continue to recycle it, the amount of really, really old stuff keeps shrinking because you're always putting newer stuff into it.
Mm-hmm.
That flips when you start talking about CCPR because you're doing mostly recycled material. So at the test track, they have a strip down right now that's been recycled 3 times as full CCPR. So it's gone through 3 full test cycles. It's in the middle of its 3rd full test cycle as CCPR. They're not seeing, you know, I can't speak to the current state of their research, but what I've seen so far is that there's not any serious issues. There may be some adjustments that you have to make from a gradation standpoint, just because every time you process it, things tend.
Is that what they're doing? They're processing it in the exact same way over and over so that we have essentially the test is the exact same. We're saying, hey, this time it lasted 10% less as long. And then
that's kind of the idea.
Okay.
Yeah. So they took a section that was built that was fully CCPR. They took everything that they milled out of that section and they just reprocessed it again. So it's not just that they made it and rebuilt it. It's they made it, they trafficked it for the equivalent of,
same traffic.
years of public traffic.
Sure.
Then they recycled it again to see, because it's not just the active recycling that they would be worried about. It's this material has been out on a roadway aging and getting trafficked on for a decade or more.
Hopefully not in Nashville, because it's grown about 10 times its size over the last 10 years, which is another variable. It makes me think about all the variables. You remember, how old are you?
31.
Okay. Hey, you remember remember Peter in the 80s, Space Invaders, where or like Missile Command, where the missiles are coming and you had to stop them. You remember you had to stop those?
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
There's trying to get really good, solid data is like, especially in an actual usage, because we use them on the highways that we use, can be a little tough because we have an expanding, if that area that we put it in is an expanding metropolis like Nashville, you're like, yeah, we need it to be the exact same test subject every time for regular traffic. Well, our population doubled. So now we have this time period where this was the traffic and now this is the traffic. Now this is the traffic. We almost are forced to use calculus to say, oh, this is what it would look like long term if we were able to do it. So it's just a unique thing to think we're doing our best to test it the best that we can, and with all the variables that we have. When we talk about that CCPR and it being tested in a way where we're trying to run it through the exact same thing every time, are we also doing something where we're like, hey, we tested it and it's got 10% less binder or bitumen than we needed. We're going to add 10% in and place that over here and see how that runs. Because I mean, we kind of want to see if we can rework it while we're testing it over here on this other side. There must be a lot more guys in blue polos with Astec on them than you two around here, because somebody has to be in charge of monitoring that all the time, right?
And a lot of this, it's not necessarily something that Astec is personally doing, but it's one of the, we've got a network of industry.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there collaboration?
Yeah.
But there has to be.
Absolutely.
If we're going to solve these problems, we have to be in collaboration, right?
Yeah. So, for road performance, material performance, things like that. Again, I've name dropped them a couple times, but NCAT, National Center for Asphalt Technology, it's a team of PhD level folks who are studying mixed
Thank God.
and how it performs. It's a whole aspect of the industry that I had no idea before I came to Astec that there was a group of PhD researchers who worried about how long our roads lasted.
Yeah.
And they're very, very good at what they do.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Napa and being like, I'll worry about us having a good image and whatnot to the general public on my end while you guys take care of everything in DC. And then we'll worry about what information they're like, hey, DC says this is a new requirement. They talk to Astec. Astec's like, well, we'll make whatever we need to make in order to create that requirement. And then that goes to our mines, our raw asphalt material producers. It's taking everybody, right, to make this thing click. It's like, nagging problems are just that. They're nagging problems. And I feel like in the old days, there wasn't so much collaboration going on in the asphalt industry. And now it's like, we just don't want to be inundated with nagging. There's a lot going on in this world. How about we solve our asphalt stuff and then we can take care of some of the other things? And that one of the things I want to ask you about is the self-erecting surge silo. Pete, let me in on this bad boy. Why did we need that? What is it, and why did we even need it?
So we've got a lot of operators that are portable. Their whole plant is portable, and so they need to have a storage solution as well that's portable with them.
Are the majority of asphalt plants portable nowadays?
No.
What's our percentage? Do we know of still versus moving?
I don't know personally myself.
Trevor Spitball.
I'm going to say there's probably 30% that are portable. And probably 70% are
pretty heavy in the West and Midwest, I would think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of the mountainous regions, I believe there's a lot of portable guys in that area too, because there's some of those areas are long trucking distances from a stationary,
but small populations.
Smaller populations.
Right. So there's not like there's a need for asphalt in certain quantities every day. But
so your self-erecting surge silo, though, it's a great piece of equipment. IntelliPack certified. Got to say that right off the bat.
Nice.
So that is something that there's other competitors in the market that have a similar system, but ours also has all of our storage features involved in it.
Sure.
As far as for the closing up the silo so that you can have long-term storage on this.
It integrates with my iWatch and my AirPods and everything else, right? Like that's kind of like what we're doing, right?
We'd like to get to that point,
but
not quite there with it.
So, what was the need? Like, what led to the development of that? Just the fact that it's an essential part and component of.
It is an essential part for storage of your material, and the unit that we have, it stores up to 90 tons.
So it improves efficiency.
It'll improve your efficiency. Realistically, your producer, your asphalt producer, they can get ahead at the end of one day because in portable plants, they're not going to produce as much tons per hour as a lot of your stationary plants are going to do. So you could, at the end of your day, potentially put up 90 tons at night. It's going to be ready to go that next day so that your plant can start operating and refilling that silo while you're loading out trucks to get out on the road.
And the contractor can get up early, get on something earlier if they allow them to. So really it benefits contractor and plant operator.
Absolutely.
Essentially at that point when we talked about the silo. So it's just one of these things where it's another technology. And I think when I say that, people are like, it's like when we go to the conferences and there's a CRM for contractors and there's like 50 CRMs. Like, oh, another one. But what's different, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this podcast and create content about it, is that Astec's doing it differently in a way that every time you've mentioned a technology to me, it's not a mimic. It's literally something that has improved and integrates. And all of a sudden our efficiency goes up, our energy usage goes down. So tell me, when it comes to that self-erect silo, what are some feedback from the early adopters that you all got?
Some of the, I don't want to say anything negative about it, but some of the portability features, it's a large piece of equipment.
Sure.
It really is. You need to have a triaxle truck to move.
Sure.
This.
I can hire somebody with a triaxle.
Everybody can do
I'm
that.
fine with that. Yeah.
Yes.
I ain't driving that thing. I can tell you that.
We had some hurdles that we had to cross with this as far as the portability goes, as developing specific axles so that we could get into locations, because the height, length, width of this, it creates it being a super load in a lot of places. So that requires for larger permits or larger dollars to be spent for permits to move this around from place to place.
But is there a certain amount where it's like, hey, we had this silo and now we replaced it with the Astec one?
A lot of people. So,
or is it
one place this really fit into is, we also have another product called an SEB, which is self-erecting bin.
Of course you do.
And
why would you not have that?
That's an open top, open air. You can't store material in it, right?
Right.
So, or not overnight anyways, because it'll oxidize and you won't be able to utilize it. So the need for this, once again, going back to voice of customer, our customer said, we want a closed top system that we can store material in so that we can get ahead for that next day again.
Yeah, thank God.
That's really catching that niche that we needed to.
Man, so crazy. It's just so crazy to think about, if all these pieces of technology, if we didn't have them, where we would be, because there's no way we'd be able to be as efficient as we are now. And it makes me always, I think part of the reason why what I do and the way that I interview and the way that I ask questions really relates to the people that make our industry up. And like you were saying, the guys are able to get a jump on the next day. They can stay up a little later knowing that they don't have to get up as early, or hopefully not. A lot of us as business owners and asphalt industry, like, oh, we're more efficient. Good. That means we can crank out more out of the machine. But it does make things easier and less worrisome for sure. And it eventually, kind of what we have going on in this industry, and Trevor, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, of being the poster boy for who we hope comes into our industry and helps take things over. Peter, you still got a lot of time left, so I'm not letting you off the hits that easy. There are people within our industry who are getting close to retirement, and they have been in it 40 years, some 50 years since things were a certain way. I can't imagine when they look at an Astec plant now compared to when it was in the 60s or 70s. But we think about the future over the next 5 to 10 years. If I look back at the last 5 to 10 years, our industry has made some huge leaps. So then it makes me excited and nervous a little bit about the next 5 to 10 years. But it's technology like this and stuff that we're talking about that get people like you interested in this. And it also, there's a lot of different technology going on in a lot of areas of our industry that get young people like my son, Eli, who we talked about earlier, who apparently is, going to be the next UFC middleweight champion, I guess. If for some reason that don't work out, I'm not saying that as a dad, I'm wanting him to lean into something else because the probability of that is low. But we have created a pretty cool place for the next generations who are technologically interested to call home. And we're solving real problems, right? It's not just that this amount of road isn't paved, we're solving that problem. It's the material that we're putting down has a problem that we could help solve that makes this better and makes this better. And it gives everybody kind of a home there. So what's in you all's wheelhouse and what you get to deal with every day, which I think must be fantastic as an engineer, is asphalt production. I don't think about it so much as a contractor. I just want to know if the plant's running.
Yep.
Right. And am I running binder mix? We run a surface mix. What are we running? I got patch holes. Can I do that today or whatever? I don't worry about that so much because I got you guys and I got the plant operators and whatnot. But when you kind of get a lens for what you guys see, you're able to talk about the past and see the direction that some of these products and technologies went to where we are. Can we get a little bit of a peel back behind the curtain and see, what do you guys think in the next 5 to 10 years when it comes to asphalt production? What does that look like?
Yeah.
Where are we going to make these advancements and increases? Because as I've mentioned to a few times, Astec does a really good job of picking out the shiny object problems. Hey, we're gonna go over there and work on that. What are we looking at in the next 5 to 10?
That's a great question. And you're right. It is so incredibly fun that I get to spend so much of my time doing this because it's a really fun space to be. I like what you said, looking at...
That's not normal, by the way, just so you know that. I'm really glad that you feel that way.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful that you feel that way, but that's not normal. But I don't think you have to be an engineer to get excited about
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. No, I
because I'm not one and I got excited about it.
Yeah. So I completely agree. I think there's so much in our industry to get excited about. I like what you said about, looking at where we've come. When we talk about, new technology and where we're going in the future, the goal is not to throw away where we've come from.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much that has been learned in our industry. You mentioned how far we've come. So many people have such incredible experience and they've learned things the hard way. I love the perspective, two guys that have been really influential for me in the time that I've been here, Mike Wagner and Greg Reniger. We have people like them across our entire organization. They have seen so much and they have learned the hard way how a lot of this came to be, and their perspective when they teach myself, when they teach our young engineers, is not, here's what we tried before, it failed, don't touch it again.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. That's not how a company continues to exist into the future. Their perspective is, here's what we tried. Here's why it broke back then. If that changes, go try it again in the future. I see kind of two veins for innovation for this industry going forwards. Some of it is like the IntelliPack moisture system. We had tried moisture sensors in the past. We knew why they didn't work. We found something that we thought changed that equation. It did, and now we have a system that works.
Is that because technology caught up to the problem?
Yeah, some of it is technology catching up.
So it's not that the wheels broke, it was just flat. We had to find a way to plug that bad boy.
A different industry had a better wheel than
Yeah.
so we brought that over into ours.
Thank God.
There's kind of one theme of innovation that is,
that
continuing to carry that on. How do we keep solving those problems that have been a thorn in our side for 50 years, learning from all of the experience that we have and continuing to evolve that? The other piece of innovation is thinking about more broadly, what does our infrastructure look like in the future? And what is the equipment that's going to be needed to produce that infrastructure?
Yeah.
Are we talking about 3D printed roads? Are we talking about
hover cars?
Yeah, right. Hopefully for our sake,
we're going to get in.
We'll need roads in the future.
We're going to get into magnetic levitation aggregate.
Yeah.
And Astec will be at the forefront of producing those roads that throw those cars up in the air. No more flat tires.
Yeah. So there's a lot of
if you say that, by the way, I'm investing my whole Roth IRA. I'm pulling it and dumping it into Astec stock.
We are here to stand side by side with our customers. We want our industry to continue to exist.
Sure.
So we don't want necessarily to advocate for something that's going to erase our industry. That's not where we're at. That's not where we want to be. But we want to stay aware of what's out there so that as technologies that could redefine the way our industry works are coming to the market, we're plugged in with research institutions, we're plugged in with academia, we're plugged in with our customers, and we're hearing these things that they're starting to look at, whether it is, finding more efficient ways to heat and dry our material. Maybe the way that we're doing it right now isn't the most cost-effective, fuel-efficient way to be doing it. Maybe there's something else out there. Paying attention to efficiencies, things like that. Recycling is a common theme. How can we keep pushing the boundaries for recycled material. Our plants are capable of a lot. So maybe the innovation, if you want to call it that, isn't as much in the equipment space as it is in how do we rethink the way that we contract jobs? Are there different ways that we can structure the maintenance and the construction of our infrastructure network so that people will be more willing to use high recycle content and find more ways to integrate it? So the innovation isn't always just equipment design.
Yeah.
It's the whole industry. It's collaborative.
It's like that CCPR one you're telling me about. Like they didn't want to bust down their asphalt plant and make the whole place. They wanted, but if you can create something that I can pop on the site that allows me to create that while I'm still making money hand over fist, then I'm in. Yeah. Peter, there's a lot going on at Astec. A lot.
Always.
Yeah, man. I'm super excited. I get to plop in and peek my head in twice a year because I get to get caught up in it all. But there's a lot going on here. When it comes to contractors, is there people or a program dedicated at Astec to prepare the contractors or plant operators for increased sustainability and efficiency demands? Does that come into play at all anymore?
Absolutely. We don't just sell a plant and say, I hope you know somebody that.
Yeah, good luck, buddy. You got an old farmer around here?
We
fixes belts.
The extensive customer school program that we put on for about the first, it's expanded over the years, and it's through the month of January, and I think it's all the way through February now as well. That
nice.
We have week-long classes so that all of the plant operators, they get exposed to each portion of their plant as far as how it runs most efficiently, how to set up your trunnions so that they run the way that they should, so you don't end up with problems on your wheel and spokes or anything like that.
Sure.
On the drum itself, on the drawing drum. So we have all of the different classes for all the different pieces of equipment. We want to make sure that our customers are as
I want to take some of those classes.
Absolutely.
Give me the intro class. We'll start there.
Pretty much all of them start out as an intro class.
If I do the Irish goodbye, you'll know that it was too much for me. Yeah, you'll be like, man, I thought Marvin was here. Oh, where he went. Yeah, because if there's going to be a quiz at the end and I don't know what was going on, I don't want to be called on, man.
Most all of these classes are also, they're taught by our engineering staff. So that's one thing our engineering staff is involved with.
We were talking earlier about a training facility here, but are there remote opportunities as well, like in Wisconsin, or if I'm in Georgia or wherever, or am I bringing people here?
Depending on what product, Astec product.
Oh, I guess that's a great point.
We have other facilities that have training centers as well.
Nice.
There's a really nice training facility I know in the Yankton, South Dakota area.
Yeah.
Eugene, Oregon has a very nice facility as well.
Nice.
So there's different things depending on what the class.
So cool.
Are you looking about crushers? Are you looking about screens? Are you looking about asphalt plants? So depending on what, so this brings us right back to the main theme, rock to road, right?
Yeah, man.
So depending on what a person is looking for, you can really find that training opportunity that you need.
I'm trying to wrap up, but my brain doesn't shut off. In Wisconsin, southern part of Wisconsin, there's a lot of limestone aggregate. You get to the northern part, there's more granite. Is there instruction of this is how you create your mix design with what aggregates you have available to hit this spec? Is that on you guys to determine that, or is that on?
We'll let Trevor feel that one.
I was trying to wrap up, but then that hit my brain because it made me think about that. Like your guys' asphalt plants, are they designed? Or are there adjustments per what type of aggregates coming in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it influences the mix design. And there are aspects of the plant design for those different, it's every single design decision you see at an Astec plant is because there was a problem that they were solving, whether it was an aggregate type, whether it was a new mix design.
We are such nerds.
Yeah.
We are nerds, dude.
We're going to talk for hours if we're not careful.
We are such nerds. That's crazy. What excites you about the asphalt industry?
I'm excited about the future. I've become so passionate about learning about where we've come from.
Yeah.
And seeing how far we were able to go in the past 50 years. I get just so excited about what the next 50 will bring. Infrastructure is not going away. Infrastructure is what defines our status as a country. It is what every single person as they go to work, more than likely the road or the building that they go into was processed.
Even if you're going to work from home, you're still going to have your stuff DoorDash to the
Exactly.
house. So
touch it.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And odds are very, very high that at some point it went through a piece of Astec equipment. So as I think about the future
That's true.
of Astec specifically, the infrastructure industry in general, the built world that we live in,
so cool.
So excited about.
What about you? And don't say retirement.
I got a few more years to go for that.
Thank God.
We've got it.
But thanks. Yeah. So realistically, what really excites me about our industry is the fact that, like Trevor said, that my team and I get to see all those new things that we're going to develop and we're going to bring out to the people. But we also like to look at how can we improve the existing equipment that we have? How can we make it more efficient? How can we manufacture it more efficiently? That's what excites. That's kind of the nerdy thing of being an engineer is like, you can take this.
It's really cool that there's
but how can you make it?
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
It's
really cool that if I wanted to build an entire Astec system, I can do that.
Yep.
But I think it speaks a lot to Astec as a business to caring about the asphalt industry at large when the IntelliPack system can retrofit to what's already there. It doesn't have to be on Astec stuff, which makes me, I don't know, I'm a sales guy at heart still from selling asphalt work for all these years. If you can give somebody the warm and fuzzies, it's like, this is something I want to be part of. And when Peter was like, hey, it retrofits onto anything, I was like, that's just a damn nice thing to do. Thank you so much. What a nice thing to do for somebody. It's like opening the door for somebody when they go, the old lady, or helping her carry her groceries back to her car. It's like, what a nice young man Astec is.
We try to think about that through in just about every engineering department that we have. How is this going to fit on equipment that was built 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Will it fit on that?
Yeah.
If it won't fit on that, well, what's the likelihood that machinery is still out?
It's so exciting.
Astec has equipment out there that's over 50 years old.
For sure.
That's still
I've seen it.
Functioning.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I think it's really cool. It really is. I'm excited about the same stuff that you're excited about. I think, it makes me think about, the fact that it can be retrofitted anywhere. There's other companies that are doing stuff to help retrofit things. It's nice to know that Astec's obviously so diverse in all their product line or everything that they're not like, this is ours over here, right? Where it's like, no, we want you to be able to figure this out and do better because maybe we can learn from you and it help create more efficiency over there. It's a really good feeling knowing that we're all together in it. I'm really excited to go out and check some stuff out and you guys take me on tour. Thanks so much for this conversation. It's a very unique one that obviously is going to exist forever. For some reason, people watch our stuff and watch me online. I really couldn't tell you why. I think a lot of it is the beneficial part that I have that Neanderthal brain that I ask a lot of questions about stuff I don't know. If I knew what you guys were talking about, it would be so boring. So it's really unique. I thank so much, man, for inviting me and having me here today.
Yeah, thank you for coming to us and having this session. We really enjoy talking about our equipment. As you can tell, Trevor and I we
I know, man. I'm a geek. As much as I try not to be a geek, but I drove 2.5 hours down here for us to talk about this, right? And then I'll have to look in the rearview mirror and be like, dude, you're such a nerd. But it's exciting. I think it's important and everything. So thanks so much. Where can people learn more about Astec Industries and the technologies? Where can we follow along online? Trevor?
So we're present on all social channels.
Yeah.
Also, our website is a
I've seen a YouTube video with you in it.
Yep.
Wow.
So
kudos.
All over the place.
Yeah, I've Instagram. I think I tag Astec Instagram quite a bit. It's very cool to follow along with and see some things. Con Expo, World of Asphalt. It's really neat to be able to follow along and see you guys there. Yeah, we're gonna be there too. Well, I'm gonna stop by and probably like, what's new, and then you can show me. So it's very cool. All right. As always, listeners and watchers online, you can pop over to inthemixmj.com. When you get there, there'll be a prompt for you to join our newsletter. Please do that. That's where you can get all the information on new articles that I'm writing about things, whether it's Astec's IntelliPack technology, whether it's other things, conferences, F1. We were kind of talking about that a little bit, the Las Vegas F1. We'll talk about all those things. I know, man, it's crazy. We'll have all those things that will be popping up on the newsletter with word from our advertisers and sponsors as well. Man, thanks so much, guys, for joining me today. And as always, if this conversation isn't proof enough, asphalt is opportunity. Peace.